creates fun learning activities. We are college students who create fun learning activities for kids. Our activities focus on reading, writing, and math. My name is Rachel, and in today's activity, we will be comparing and contrasting the stories of Cinderella and Cinderella. For today's activity, you will need a piece of paper and something to write with. Now, with a little help from my magic wand here, let's get started. To compare something is to look at two objects or ideas or stories and see what is similar between them. To contrast is to look at two things, whether it be objects, ideas, stories, and see what is different between them. Let's go through an example with an apple and an orange. Let's compare an apple and an orange. Remember, comparing is to find what is similar between the two objects. Go ahead and pause this video and write down what is similar between an apple and an orange. An apple and an orange are both a type of fruit, are sweet, and can be made into juice, such as apple juice and orange juice. These are just some examples. You may have different comparisons. Now, when contrasting, we are looking for things that are different between an apple and an orange. Go ahead and pause this video and write down some things that are different between an apple and an orange. To contrast apples and oranges, apples are red, whereas oranges are orange. Apples have thin skin, whereas oranges have thick skin. Apples can be crunchy, and oranges can be juicy. Remember, these are just some examples. You may have different ways to contrast these. Get creative. Great job, everyone. Now, let's see if we can compare stories. Let's look at the stories of Cinderella and Cinderella. Now for a summary of the story of Cinderella. A young maiden lives in a kingdom far away. Her mother dies during a harsh winter, and her father quickly remarries. Cinderella's new stepmother and stepsisters are not all she hopes they would be. Her stepsisters are mean, and her mother forbids her from going to the kingdom's royal ball. But with the help of a fairy godmother, the young maiden can go with a beautiful dress and riches. At the castle, she meets the prince and lives happily ever after. Now, let's look at a summary of the story of Cinderella that we will compare and contrast with the story of Cinderella. In the story of Cinderella, a young boy named Matteo dreams of becoming a baseball pitcher. After the death of his father, his mother remarries, and Matteo's new stepbrothers are not the brothers he was hoping for. The twins are mean and bully Matteo, but with the help of a fairy godmother, Matteo goes from doing all the chores to playing on the baseball field. Now, what are some categories that we can use when we are comparing and contrasting? For example, when we had the apple and the orange, we looked at the color of each. We looked at what type of food each of these was. So, what are some categories within a story that we can use when we are comparing and contrasting? Go ahead and write these down. Those are some amazing categories. Some of the categories I thought of was the plot, or what happens in the story. Another idea was the setting, which is where does this story take place? And one other idea I had was the characters, or who are the people in the story. These are just a few of the categories that we can use when we are comparing and contrasting stories. Let's take a look at some quotes from the stories of Cinderella and Cinderella. Quotes are lines of specific text that comes from a story, word for word. Let's go take a look. In Cinderella, a young boy named Matteo dreamed of playing baseball as a great pitcher. He loved to play catch and practice with his father, who he loved. And in Cinderella, once upon a time there lived a young maiden in a kingdom far away. She was kind and nice and loved her family very much. What are some similarities between Matteo and the young maiden? That's right, both are young in age and both love their parents. These are just a few examples. You may have different examples. Now, what are some differences between Matteo and Cinderella? That's right, Matteo dreams of becoming a baseball player, whereas Cinderella is known to be kind. The settings of Cinderella and Cinderella contrasted because Matteo lived in a small town and his baseball tryouts were on a baseball field, whereas for Cinderella, the young maiden lived in a kingdom and her dance with the prince was in a royal castle. To compare, the plots of Cinderella and Cinderella were similar, as in Cinderella, Matteo lost his shoe in a hurry as the magic from his fairy godmother ran out. And in Cinderella, the young maiden also lost her shoe in a hurry to leave the castle as the clock struck midnight and the magic ran out. In addition, we can look at the morals of the stories. The moral is a message or lesson that the story teaches us. Though the moral of these two stories are different, they are similar in some ways. Cinderella teaches us to have kindness towards all, even to her very mean stepsisters and stepmother. Cinderella teaches us that hard work and kindness leads to great things, like how Matteo practiced baseball but was never mean back to his stepbrothers when they were mean to him. Now you try. Linked in the description below is an activity sheet where you can continue to compare and contrast the stories of Cinderella and Cinderella on your own. Thank you for learning with America Reads today. That is all for today's lesson. We hope you come back to watch more videos soon. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments below, and we will be back with more videos soon.